All right. So, no, thank you. Did everybody, or maybe you did, or maybe you didn't, this morning Ms. Del Valle came on the announcements. Apparently, a lot of people have not selected their courses. If you don't do it, someone else will do it for you. And wouldn't you rather pick your own courses? You know, they might give you a difficult class or something that you don't like. So, how do you do this? You need to, if you have this like big sheet with the courses on it, you need to give that to the counselor like ASAP. Okay, you can just drop it off. You can go onto Skyward, click the course requests, and then do your courses. Okay. If you need help, every lunch today in the perk, there's going to be some help over there. So if you haven't picked your courses, lunchtime, go to the perk, please. Cool. Monday, no school. Woo! Remember, they took it, but they gave it back. All right, so holiday. And remember, you still have to come. In theory, the last day of school is that Tuesday after. Just remember, the last day of school is plus 1 day, which is on a Tuesday. Kind of random, kind of crazy. All right. Oh, yeah. We're supposed to have a test next Tuesday over the stuff we've been learning. So, again, if you have not been doing 7, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you got to get it done. It's important because I'm also like cutting it down, so maybe it's a little bit easier. Not easier, but less to do. You got to do your work. Got to turn it in. I know this stuff can be difficult, but I'm trying to make it easier. So I'm going to show you an example again of how to do synthetic division. We talked about this on Friday. There was a warm-up that you could have written down yesterday, which was also one of your problems on the homework. I'll show you another one right here. Okay. So let's go over this. By the way, happy Valentine's Day. All right. Let's do this. Now, all right, I'll be impressed. What do I do first to find my multiplier for synthetic division? So we're not going to do it that like the long, complicated way. We're doing it that synthetic way. Yeah. Okay, but what goes on the outside actually is we got to figure it out. So before we do that, so here's what I mean. You need to take this bottom thing off to the side and set it equal to 0. Does this sound familiar? Is everyone hearing me? Because it's hard to hear me when you got 2 headphones in, right? Filet, Chick-fil-A, or whatever your jersey says. Thank you. Please, no, I was just saying, I don't want headphones in because I know this stuff can be difficult, so it's better if you're hearing me. So again, this needs to be set equal to 0. Step 1. Does everyone hear me say that? Everyone understands this, hopefully. Now, can you solve this? How do I get rid of a minus 5? Opposite of minus 5 is plus 5, right? What's 0 plus 5? 5. That's how you get the number that goes right here. Is everyone clear on how to get the number that goes right here? Okay. Now remember, that's a multiplier number. When we use that number, it's going to be multiplying. So I can put a little multiplication x next to it, so I know that's my multiplier. Okay. Now, you were telling me, how do I get the numbers that are right over here? Now, one thing I would caution is think about, are there any missing terms? So we got x to the 3rd power, 2nd power, 1 power, no power. It seems like everything's there, so we don't have any 0 terms, okay? Nothing is missing, so let's ask ourselves, what are the coefficients? You with me? So what's in front of this x cubed? What goes right here? If there's no number, it's a 1. Does everyone know that? Like no number means 1 in front. What's this coefficient? Negative 10, not 10, but negative, right? Then we got 20, then we got 26. Those are my 4 coefficients I'm going to write right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. 1, negative 10, 20, 26. Okay. Now the main thing you got to remember when you do this, you bring down the first one, and then we do multiply and then add. multiply, add. That's the pattern we do, okay? So I'm going to bring down this 1 and take this 1 and this 5, and what do I do with it? Does everyone see it? Multiply. So 1 times 5 goes here. What's 1 times 5? 5. Okay. This is what we learned on Friday. You did a warm-up on it yesterday from the board. But okay, so vertically, what do I do? Add. Does everyone understand? Vertically, you add. What's negative 10 plus 5? Negative 5. So I'm going to write that on the bottom. Now we do the cycle again, but not adding. So negative 5 and this 5 over here do what? Multiply. So negative 5 times 5 goes right here. What's negative 5 times 5? Negative 25. Okay, and then what do I do vertically with these two numbers? Add them up. Not positive 5. Okay, so 20 plus negative 25 or 20 minus 25 gives you negative 5 again. What do I do with that negative 5 and that 5 here? We do what? Multiply. Negative 5 times 5 is negative 25, yes. And now what do we do vertically? Add them. 26 plus negative 25 or 26 minus 25 is 1. Okay, a palindrome. Can you, okay, so first step is can you get to these numbers? Okay, second step is can you turn that into the answer? So remember, what's the biggest exponent right here? The cubed. So this one's going to be take away 1. This is going to be my squared term, okay? So let's go ahead and write this. That first term is squared, so 1x squared. Now the next one is minus 5x. The next one is minus 5. Do you see how the exponent is going down, down, down? Now this last one has to be my remainder. And it's going to be a fraction over this denominator. So plus 1 over x minus 5. Okay. Now, I had asked you to do 7.4, number 1 through 4. So I'm only asking you to do like the front side of that 7.4. This is how you do it. Okay. Now, there's the other way you can do it that's more, in my opinion, a little more complicated, the long division way. But you are free to use this. This is called synthetic division. I highly suggest you do synthetic division. Okay. Now, you can. Maybe. I know. Okay, now here's the deal. We are perpetually a step behind other classes, so we gotta move on to the next thing. Yep, 7.5. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. You know what? I'm adding it to the box. I made all these. Oh. And I'm just gonna say I made them.
I can't reach each other? Yeah.
Your mom's like, it's a caramel? Yeah. I made this shit. I made these things. Thank you.
I thank you.
Just your name. Olivia.
Never know, but it'll, I definitely will.
I definitely will.
But like, of course, Of course, not friends, but
I got your friend.
This doesn't have to be difficult, but if you lock in, it'll be a piece of cake or something.
Ever since
Okay, hold on. So,
addition,
what?
it's been hard.
So, we're going to factor by grouping, right? I'm going to explain this abstractly right here. So, check this out. If you have 4 terms, they could look something like this. Please. Thank you. First thing you do is you have your problem. The first step you're really doing, I know it says step 2, but the first thing you're really going to do is put parentheses around the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms. Can y'all put parentheses around things?
I can try.
Yes. Now, this is the part that might be a little difficult. Is you have to be able to factor, okay? You're going to find what do these 2 terms have in common that I can divide out. So look right here. Does everyone see these first 2 terms have an a in common? So I take out the a, and what's left over is b plus c. Over here, what do these have in common? The b goes out, b plus c stays here. Do you see how these 2 parentheses match? That comes down, and these outside terms make their own parentheses. These are the steps to do what's called factoring by grouping. Now this had no numbers, that's kind of abstract, I don't get it, whatever. Let's try some examples. First of all, we're not going to try this, we're going to look at this. Here's an example completely done already for us. I want you to see how it's done. So is everyone looking? Okay. Step 1, I see I have 4 terms. If they're not in order from the biggest degree to the smallest degree, you got to make sure they're in order. But guess what? I put them in order for you. Don't worry about it. Okay? Once you're here, your first step is to put parentheses. Can everyone do this for me? It won't take very long. Put parentheses around. See, they did it with colors. They said group. We're doing it with parentheses. Okay. So step 1, y'all can do parentheses, right? Okay, easy part. Now here's the part that takes some thinking. You need to factor. You want to think, what do these 2 terms have in common? So think about it. This first term has a coefficient of 1 and a coefficient of 3. They don't have anything in common coefficient-wise besides 1. Okay? But look at the x's. This has x to the 3rd power. This has x to the 2nd power. How many x's do they have in common?
1, 5.
If this has 2 and this has 2 plus 1, they have 2 in common. Does that make sense? Like they both share 2. So that's why, look out here, they factored out x squared. You're going to take 2 x's from both of these terms. So if you take 2 x's from the 3 x's, you have how many x left? Okay. 3, take away the 2 is 1. And then 3x squared, if you take out x squared, you're only left with the coefficient 3. So, but I'm telling you, this is division. X cubed divided by x squared is x. 3x squared divided by x squared is 3. Okay? That's factoring. That's probably the most difficult part, but you'll get the hang of it. Over here, 2x plus 6. Do you see how there's not an x in common? But 2 and 6 have a common factor. What's the biggest number that goes into 2 and 6? 3 does not go into 2. 4 does not go into 2.
No.
2 goes into 2, and 2 goes into 6. That's why, look right here, there's a 2 out here. They factored the 2. Now, guess what you got to do to both of these terms? You divide them both by 2. So when you divide the 2, you're left with the x. 6 divided by 2 gives you 3. Okay? Now, does everyone notice? Look right here that these are the same. These parentheses are the same. So what happens is those 2 parentheses basically make this right here. And you see this outside x squared and this outside 2? Those go into their own parentheses over here. So these 2 go here. These parentheses go right here. We went from a 4-termed polynomial to 2 2-termed binomials. Okay? That is what's called the factored form by grouping. Okay? Now again, we haven't written anything. I've just been explaining it and talking about it. So let's actually try it on example 1. Ready? Okay, first step, I told you it was really easy. What do you need to put on your equation? Parentheses, easy, right? So put a group of these two, and put the group on these two. Here we go. So here's my parentheses. Here's my parentheses. Okay. Step one's easy. Now step two, let's think about this. What is the greatest common factor of 12x cubed and 4x squared? Start with the numbers in front. 12 and 4. What goes into 12 and 4?
4.
Now last class they told me 2. Now doesn't 2 go into 12 and 4?
Yes.
But we want the greatest common factor. What's the biggest number that goes into 12 and 4?
4.
It is 4. Okay. Okay. Now, I can tell you now or later, there's a kind of a, like cheat codes. Back in my day, video games had cheat codes. I don't know about y'all.
Oh, I know. Up, down, A, B, start.
Okay, something like that. But there's a way to find the factor of two numbers using your calculator. Do you want me to show you how to do that? Okay. So no one wants to know how the calculator can tell you a factor of two numbers. Okay. You asked for it. Now, 12 and 4, the greatest common factor is 4. Let's write that down. If in the future you're like, how did they get that number? I can tell you a shortcut on your calculator. Now, look at the x's. I got 3 x's here being multiplied. I got 2 x's here. How many x's does that have in common? 2, right? They both have 2. So when I'm finding the factor, I'm going to take out x squared. Now, here's what we do next. I need to figure out what's left over in the parentheses. So when I divide 12 by 4, what's left over? 12 divided by 4 gives me 3. Stop. And then x cubed, if I have 3 x's and I'm taking away 2 of the x's, how many x's left over? 1. So x to the 1 power. All right, now check this out. 4x squared, when I divide it by 4x squared, 4 divided by 4 is what? 1. X squared divided by x squared cancels out 1. Okay? Whenever you have a number or a term divided by the same exact term, you get 1. So go ahead and put plus 1. Okay? That's just the first set of parentheses. Let's go to the next set of parentheses. Now, should be easier, but it's kind of tricky because here's what. 3 and 1. What's the greatest common factor of 3 and 1?
1.
It is 1. 3 does not go into 1. No number bigger than 1 can go into 1. So we for sure have 1. And do you see how there's no x's in common here? So there's no x's. So if it's just 1 with no x's, it's literally just 1. Okay? So go ahead and put plus 1. Now hold up. If I take 3x plus 1, if I take them and I divide them by 1, it's not going to change anything. So you're really just rewriting 3x plus 1 for this one. Okay? Put that away. You know how to do this already? No, you don't. Put it away. Now, at this point, you want to think, do these parentheses match? Do they? Oh. So since they match, we're good. We can go ahead and move on. These matching parentheses are going to come down. You're going to rewrite it. And then these outside coefficient terms are going to make a new parentheses over here. Do you see how this works? These two on the outside make a new one. The matching ones go over here. That is basically factoring these two factored terms. Okay? What? Okay, well, you're going to help me with the next one. All right. Hey, I asked you if you want me to show you the easy one on the calculator, and no one said nothing. Everyone was like, no, I want to make life hard. Wait! Can you wait for another one? If you can. You dying? I mean, all right. All right, we only have 2 more examples, but all right, so example 2, here we go.
One can go into the other, like 16 and 12. You subtract them,
I'll tell you. So everybody, look at example 2. What was my first step? Parentheses. Put parentheses, right? So everyone's doing number 2 with me. Ready? Parentheses here and parentheses here. Okay. Now, once you have your 2 pairs, you need to factor. What does 16 and 12, even if it's negative, 16 and negative 12, what are their greatest common factor? Now, I'll ask again. You can guess, or who would like me to show you the way the calculator can tell you? Thank you. I'm going to show you real quick. Okay. So if you go to a new document calculator, if you press menu, 2 for numbers, 5 for greatest common divisor. You could actually probably just type GCD parentheses, okay? But menu 2, 5, and you type your 2 numbers, 16 and 12. 16, comma, 12, it will tell you the greatest common factor or greatest common divisor, right? Right? So is everyone awake? Not looking at the phone? Now, another way to think about it is when you're thinking of 16 and 12, so someone said 6, I think. 6 does not go into 16. If you thought 8, 8 does not go into 12. 4 goes into both, right? Put it away. So here's the deal. So 4, now you're going to see a pattern here. Look right here. X, n to the 3rd power, n to the 2nd power. How many do they have in common? They both have 2 in common, just this one has an extra, right? So again, whenever you have 2 terms, the smaller number is what they have in common. So n squared is what we can take out. 4n squared. It will when we write the sign inside here. So let's do some dividing. What's 16 divided by 4?
5. No?
And then we had 3n divided by 2n's. So 3 take away 2 gives me 1, right?
No.
So we have 1n, so I'm going to write n. Okay, hey. Now, let's do the other one. Negative 12 divided by 4.
3. 5.
Negative 12 divided by 4.
Negative 5.
Negative 3, okay? So let's write that down. Negative 3.
Right eventually.
No. N squared and n squared, when you divide those, they eliminate, so you're just left with minus 3 there, okay? So you factor out, and then you divide. Let's do it again. 12n minus 9. Do you know the greatest common factor of 12 and 9? What goes into 12 and 9? 3 does. What about 6? No. 6 does not go into 9. 6 goes into 12. And if you wanted to check yourself, you do menu 2, 5. You take the numbers with a comma between them, you hit enter, and you get 3, right? So yeah, it's positive, so plus 3. Let's factor. 12 divided by 3 is what? 4. There's an n, and there's no n here, so I got to bring down the n. What's negative 9 divided by 3? Negative 3. At this point, you want to ask yourself, do these parentheses match?
No.
4n minus 3.
Where did I get that?
4n minus 3. 4n minus 3. You should stop that. So 4n minus 3 matches. Here's the problem, though. If they don't match, then you factored wrong. You got to go back and try again. Okay? But they will match. Does everyone hear me say this? They will match. Now, is everyone with me in the back? In the back? Now, Once we're here, we're going to take these parentheses terms and we're going to just rewrite it down here for n minus 3. And then we're going to take these two terms and make a new parentheses. Whoa. What the freak? 4n squared plus 3. Do you see where I'm getting these numbers from? This outside one goes here. This outside one goes here. These parentheses match. They go right here. Okay? Every little piece of this matters. It's not a lot of steps, but the factoring is probably the most difficult part. That's why I'm trying to do this slowly and making sure you understand. Okay? One more example. It will be good. By the way, did you notice how example 1 was f of x? This one's g of n. It doesn't really matter what the letters are. It's the same idea. Okay? Example 3, here we go. I tried to give you a more difficult one, but it's the same idea. Okay? So what do I do first? Parentheses, right? Right? Parentheses. Let's go ahead and put them here. Ready? 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 Everyone's doing the parentheses? Okay, now what do I do with these two terms? What's that word that I factor. I didn't want to say F word because then y'all say something wrong. F word is factor in math. Okay, what the factor? What's the factor? Okay, now seriously, what is the factor? Greatest common factor of 42 and 7. It might be 7. Do you know?
Yes. 7,
11. How can we check?
I checked it.
Oh, you already did it. So
Yeah.
menu 2, 5, 42, comma 7. It is 7. Oh my goodness. So let's write down 7. Now, real quick. Every single one of these problems has the same pattern. Y to the third, y squared. How many do they have in common?
7.
2, right? So it's going to be y squared, okay?
It's my lucky number.
So now in the parentheses, we have to divide. What's 42 divided by 7?
7.
You have calculators. What's 42 divided by 7?
5. No. It's 6.
It is 6. And then I have y to the third, y to the second. Subtract the powers. 3 minus 2 gives me y to the first power, which is just y, right? Hey. Now, what is negative 7 divided by 7?
0. Positive 7. It's negative. Not 14. I'm trying to do it in head.
Not multiplying. We're dividing. Negative 7 divided by 7. Negative 1.
Oh.
Now, negative 1, y squared divided by y squared cancels out, so it is just straight up negative 1, okay? These look the exact same except for that negative sign, so when you divide them, you get 1, with the negative sign, negative 1. Go to the next set, 36 and 6. What is the greatest common factor that goes into both 36 and 6? It is 6. 6 goes into 6, 6 goes into 36. It's positive, so plus 6. And notice, they don't have a y in common, so I'm just going to put 6 by itself. Next step, 36 divided by 6 gives me what? It does give me 6 again. The y has to come down with it because I did not change the y. There was no y factors that it divided. And then negative 6 divided by 6 is negative 1. Do my two parentheses match? Yes. They do match. So again, the matching ones come down here. So 6y minus 1. And then my other parentheses next to it is going to have these outside coefficient terms. 7y squared plus 6. This is the essence of what you're doing on your assignment today. Now, you do have time today to get this done. I would at least for sure make sure you do 1 through 6, okay? If you're missing other assignments, then definitely just do these 6 and get going on the other ones, which, no. So again, same stuff we did on the notes. I'm going to hand this out. You have today, but also tomorrow, but you got to catch up on missing work too, okay? Here we go.